Oh yeah, it's time. What is going on, YouTube family? I am finally back with a brand new video for the very first time in a long time. And I'm pretty sure you guys read the title of the video, that's why you guys are here watching this. You guys want to see my CD collection. I've been holding back on this video for quite some time now. A lot of people are always telling me, when am I going to make a video of my CD collection, or when am I going to show off my collection to you guys? And today feels like a good day. I'm finally ready to show off the collection. Like I said, I've been holding back on this idea for quite some time, mainly because I wanted to build up the CD collection just a little bit more. And I feel like I've gained a lot of CDs in about a year. It's about to be a year of CD collecting, and I'm proud of what I own, and I'm proud to show it to you guys. Now, you probably have a question in your head, and that question is, who in the hell buys CDs in 2019? Me, bitch. I do. And a lot of other people. Now, my reason for why I collect CDs is because I like owning the physical copy of it. It makes me feel like I own it, which I do own it, if that makes sense. For example, one of my favorite artists right now is Kendrick Lamar, and I have most of his work on vinyl and CD. And just owning it is awesome. It's just owning something of your favorite artist is the greatest feeling in the world. So it's just something that you need to try out and go experience yourself. So that's my reason why I collect CDs. If you collect CDs, leave a comment below on why you collect CDs. And yeah, so with that being said, let's get into the collection, y'all. I'm very proud to show you guys. So first up, we got Icon by NWA. This is the only album that I have of NWA, sadly, but I do plan on getting more stuff by NWA. But for right now, we got Icon. This is like a compilation of like their greatest hits. So, Icon by NWA. Next up, we got Capital Punishment by Big Pun. Rest in peace, Big Pun. He left us way too soon, but I'm very glad to own Capital Punishment in my hands. Stay Dangerous by YG, man. Look, this album is so slept on. Like, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this album. I don't know why. Is it because it came out on the same day as Astro World and Swimming, and Astro World, we all know Astro World took over 2018 and still taking over till this day.
To this day!
But listen, man, if you haven't heard Stay Dangerous, what the fuck are you doing? You need to listen to this damn album. Stay Dangerous is fire, and I'm glad I have this in my collection. Next up, we got Back in Black by AC/DC. Now, I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm not the biggest fan of rock, but rock does hold a special place in my heart. Growing up playing Guitar Hero, a rock band, listening to rock a little bit. AC/DC was up there, one of my favorites growing up, and I'm glad I have this in my collection. Back in Black by AC/DC. And we got Doggy Style by Snoop Doggy Dogg. We all know this album. And if you don't know this album, I'm pretty sure you've seen this album cover before, man. This is such a classic album. Snoop Dogg's very first album of all time, man. And I'm very glad to own it. I love this album a lot. Next up in the collection, we got Good AM by the late great Mac Miller. We all love and miss you, Mac. You were taken from us way too soon, but your legacy will continue through your music. And I'm so glad to own this album, Good AM. This is honestly my favorite project ever from Mac Miller, and I'm very glad to have it in my collection. The College Dropout by Mr. West, Kanye West himself. Man, this is when Kanye West was at his finest. This is honestly one of my favorite projects ever from Kanye West, and I'm happy to have it, man. College Dropout, Kanye West. Next up in the collection, we got Los Bukis. It's in a rep case. The original case broke, so I had to replace it with this slim case. Yeah, Los Bukis. This is for all my Mexican folks out there. Shout outs to my mom. She for putting me on Los Bukis. Growing up, every Sundays when I had to clean the house, my mom would always bump Los Bukis. So I had to have this in my collection. Next up, we got Queen by Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj.
yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say. Alright, next up we got At Long Last, ASAP by ASAP Rocky, man. This album right here is just great. You know, this throws me back all the way to freshman year, 2014. Good year for me. Good year for music in general. I'm very glad to own it. You know, it's a great tribute to the late great ASAP Yams. One of my favorite tracks of this album was Dirt, featuring Bones. At this time, I was like a huge Bones fanatic, and I was very surprised that Bones was on this album. You know, shout out to ASAP Rocky. So yeah. No, actually, it's not even called Dirt. It's called Canal Street. Canal Street. The original song was Dirt, but Canal Street. Canal Street was fire. Next up, we got We the Best by DJ Khaled, man.
Another one.
I'm actually happy to own something of DJ Khaled. He's cool. He's such a talented producer, man. And I'm just blessed. We're all blessed to have DJ Khaled on Snapchat, man. He's hilarious. So DJ Khaled, We the Best.
Another one.
17 by the late great XXX Tentacion, another artist who was taken away from us way too soon. You know, his legacy will continue throughout his music, you know? So I'm very glad to own this. And I never knew this was even released in CD, but I'm glad I own it. XXX Tentacion. Alright, next up we got Scorpion by Champagne Poppy, Drake. Man, I love this album. This album was pretty dope. We all know what's on here. You know, we had God's Plan, Upset, you know. A lot of great tracks on here, and I'm very glad to own it. Alright, next up here, we got my favorite album of all time in the rap game. It is Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. Man, this album came out in 2012. I was in 8th grade, and to this day, this is my favorite rap album of all time. And this is the regular edition. I do have the deluxe edition, and I will be showing you guys that in just a little bit. Creeping on a Come Up by Bone Thugs and Harmony. This album is such a great album, man. Bone Thugs this is like their first project. Shout outs to Eazy-E, rest in peace, Eazy. Man, but we all know what's on here, man. You know, For the Love of Money, man. Such a great song. But yeah, very happy to own this. Next up, we got the very best of Sade. Man, dude, I love Sade, man. Her fucking music is just incredible. You know, I'm just glad I own this. It's not like an album, you know, it's like a compilation of her greatest hits. Just owning something of Sade, I'm very happy. We got Doris by Earl Sweatshirt. I don't own his recent work, which is, I believe it's called Some Rap Songs. I don't own that one yet. I will soon, but just owning something of Earl Sweatshirt is cool. Doris, great album. Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio. Man, Coolio was so dope back in the day, man. I love this album. This is a good album. We all know that one song, Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, so very pleased to own this. Next up, we got Gorillaz' self-titled album, The Gorillaz. This is a good album, man. I remember hearing this, you know, back in the early days of my childhood, you know. So it's very cool. I'm very pleased to own this. Gorillaz, man. Next up in the collection, we got The Beautiful and Damned by G-Eazy. This is the only project that I own of G-Eazy, sadly. I do plan on getting more, but for now, we got this wonderful project. The Most Known Unknown by 3 6 Mafia. Now listen, DJ Paul, Juicy J, Project Pat, listen, if you ever watch this video, please, we need a new album. At least come back on tour and just do one last tour. I'm trying to see you guys live. Man, 3 6 Mafia goes so hard, man. And especially this album is so dope. We got Stay Fly, Pop My Collar, Hard Out Here to Be a Pimp. Man, such great classics on this damn album. I'm so glad to own it. Next up, we got Experience Hendrix by Jimi Hendrix. You know, it's a compilation of his greatest hits. I really don't know much about Jimi Hendrix, but I feel like this is a good start for me. You know, before I even bought this, you know, I knew a couple songs of his, but you know, owning this and hearing this, you know, I've liked a lot more. So, Jimi Hendrix. Entre a Mi Mundo by Selena. Man, shout out to all my Spanish folks. You guys know who this girl is, man. Dude, she was so bad, bro, man. It sucks that she's no longer with us. You know, sometimes I wonder, what if she was still here? Just imagine like the good tracks we would have. Imagine like Selena with Drake, or like Selena with Cardi B. Fire. We got Metallica's self-titled album, Metallica. Man, look, Metallica is so fucking hard, man. They go, oh man, they're just fucking fire. Straight up my favorite song here. My favorite song of all time of Metallica is Enter Sandman. It's on here. And look, growing up, I had Guitar Hero Metallica, and you know I had a perfect score on Enter Sandman. And I'm so glad I own this piece by Metallica. Don't Be Safe by Trinidad James, man. Man, I found this out in the wild in the thrift store for $2. Couldn't pass up on this. It's Trinidad James. This throws me back all the way to 8th grade, and I'm very glad I own this. You know, shout out to Full Size Run. You know, he's on that show on YouTube. Trinidad James, give me a shout out back. Next up, we got Who Is Mike Jones. This is on a rep case. Mike Jones, man, he's dope. This is honestly, you know, he was a one-hit wonder, but it's okay. This album was dope. So if you know Mike Jones, you know what's good, homie. Mike Jones. Who is Mike Jones? We got Evolve by Imagine Dragons. And we all know that one song, Thunder. It's on here. That's everyone's favorite. Not everyone's favorite, but it's up there. I like this album a lot. Imagine Dragons is right now one of my favorite rock bands right now. So I'm glad I own this. Evolve by Imagine Dragons. Next up, we got The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Like, now look, I'm not the biggest rock fan, but I have to have Pink Floyd on my wall, man. I know a couple tracks of Pink Floyd, and this is honestly one of their biggest albums of all time, and I'm glad I own this one. And it's the paperback style, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's cool. It'll do. True to Self by Bryson Tiller. Whoops. Next up, we got Bryson Tiller, True to Self. Honestly, this isn't my favorite piece from Bryson Tiller, but it's cool, man. It's cool to have. If you guys own this piece, you know how it came packaged up. The packaging on this was pretty crazy, and that's pretty much why I bought this, because of the packaging, sadly. Next up, we got Beauty Behind the Madness by The Weeknd, and we all know this album. You see this cover, and it throws you back some memories, man. We all know this album was fire, and I'm so glad I own this. So yeah, The Weeknd, baby. Victory Lap by Nipsey Hussle, Crenshaw's very own, man. So glad I own this, man. Look, this album was so fire, dude. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. This is nominated for a Grammy, and hopefully my boy wins this shit, man, because this is such a great album. He deserves it. Next up in the collection, we got Las Vegas' very own Dizzy Wright, The Growing Process, and this is honestly my favorite project that Dizzy Wright has ever done. Dude, man, shout out to Dizzy Wright, man. He lives here in Vegas, you know. Dizzy Wright, if you're ever watching this, shout out to you, brother. And low-key, I need this shit signed ASAP. No Rocky. Continuing on, we got a bootleg 25th Hour by Dom Kennedy, Leimert Park legend. Yes, this is bootleg, but it's okay. You know, I can deal with that. You know, Dom Kennedy, you need to release your work in physical form, because I need it and I want it. And I'm glad I own this though, even though it's bootleg, but it's still tight. 25th Hour, Dom Kennedy. Next up, we got Trap Lord by A$AP Ferg. We all know what's on here, man. We got Let It Go, we got Dumped Up, we got Shaba. Most importantly, we got Work. And you know what? You remember how I said 2014 was my greatest year in high school, greatest year of my life? This is one of the reasons why. This album is one of the reasons why 2014 was such a good year for me. A$AP Ferg killed it on Trap Lord, man. I'm so glad I own this. Next up, we got Predator by Ice Cube, man. This is the only Ice Cube project that I own, but it's all good. I'm glad I own this. This is such a classic. We all know that one song, It Was a Good Day. It's on here, and that's why I have it, man. So shout out to Ice Cube. Next up in the collection, we got Chocolate Starfish by Limp Bizkit. Shout outs to Fred Durst, man. You know, he's out there doing his shit with Bones. Yeah, this is fire. This throws me back all the way to being a little kid. You know, I'm a wrestling fan to this day.
To this day!
Yes, I still watch wrestling. But man, if you know Limp Bizkit and WWF, the relationship they had, man, dude, their promos back in the day were so fire. And I'm so glad I own this. Chocolate Starfish, Limp Bizkit, baby. Next up, we got As Cruel as School Children by the Gym Class Heroes. Listen, if you know the Gym Class Heroes, give yourself an applause, man. Gym Class Heroes are so cool, man. This is like throwback all the way to like 07, 08 maybe, somewhere around there. But yeah, I'm very glad I own this, man. This is so cool. Gym Class Heroes. Kamikaze, no, not by Eminem, by Twista, and it is in a rep case. It's all good, you know. Owning something of Twista is always cool. So yeah, Twista. Next up here in the collection, we got Random Access Memories by Daft Punk. Man, when this album dropped, I was so happy. We all know that one song, Get Lucky. You know, it's on here. Ah, dude, the cover of this is so clean. Something about this cover is so clean. I'm so glad I own it. You know, this throws me back all the way to like 8th grade year. But yeah, man, it's so cool. I'm very pleased to own this. We got Demon Days by the Gorillaz. Man, this is honestly one of the greatest projects ever by the Gorillaz. And there's one song that's on here, Feel Good. You know, everyone's favorite song of the Gorillaz. It's on here, man. I'm so glad I own this. Shout out to the Gorillaz. The Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. Rest in peace, Chester, another artist gone way too soon. Yeah, Linkin Park. I remember hearing about Linkin Park from my sister. So my sister put me on Linkin Park. But yeah, I'm very pleased to have this in my collection. Next up, we got Not All Heroes Wear Capes by Metro Boomin. Man, I actually enjoyed this project. I feel like this should have been like a Metro Boomin and Travis Scott kind of collab, because that's pretty much all I got was just a lot of Travis Scott on here. But it's okay. Yeah, I love Travis Scott. And I love Metro Boomin. So yeah, Not All Heroes Wear Capes. Fire. Wins and Losses by Meek Mill. This is such a cool album. I enjoyed it a lot. One of my favorite tracks, titled Fuck That Checkup, is on here. And dude, that shit bumps. This whole album just bumps in general, man. Shout out to Meek Mill. Finally glad he's out of prison. Yeah. Next up, we got Issa by 21 Savage, bro. I don't have his most recent album. I do plan on getting that soon, but for now, we got Issa, man. It's cool. I love it. Next up, we got The World Is Yours by Rich the Kid, man. This album was so clean when it dropped last year. I still love this album a lot. I think my favorite song on here is Dead Friends. Dead Friends go hard. Even though it's like shots being fired to Lil Uzi, if you've seen the video. But it's cool, man. I can't wait to hear The World Is Yours Part 2. Nothing Was the Same by Champagne Papi. Bro, this album was fire. Once again, 2014 was a good year for me, good year for music. And this is the main reason why, or another reason why 2014 was such a good year for me. And I'm very pleased to have it in my possession. This goes out to all my Hispanics out there, man. This is for y'all. Odisea by Ozuna.
Ozuna, baby.
Man, come on. I have to have Ozuna on my wall, bro. Yeah. He's fire as fuck. Ozuna go hard. I don't give a fuck. He's dope. Next up, we got Living Girl by Casey Veggies, man. And to be completely real with y'all, I didn't even know Casey Veggies even released this in CD. You know, it was one of those days where I go into Zaya Records, shout out to Zaya Records, by the way, for having this. And I never thought I'd see this, but I'm so pleased to even have this, man. So yeah, shout outs to Casey Veggies, Living Grow. Wolf by Tyler, the Creator, man. This is honestly one of my favorite works from Tyler. You know, you can't compare the Flower Boy Tyler and this Tyler, man. You just can't compare them, man. This is honestly my favorite Tyler, the Creator, though. Just saying. Next up, we got Professional Rapper by Lil Dicky, man. This dude's a fucking clown. When I first heard this, I was like, man, this is so weird. Like, it's so kind of corny in a way, but it's cool. Like, I don't know, man. This is fucking dope. I'm very pleased to have this, man. So shout out to Lil Dicky. This is a good album. If you guys haven't heard this, I recommend this. Next album I'm gonna show you guys. This artist right here had the biggest comeback of 2019. You know who the fuck it is, boy. Soulja Boy. Yup. Dude, once again, shout out to Zaya Records for having this. Was never expecting to see this, but I'm so glad they have it, or they had it, and I'm so glad I picked it up. And dude, man, I'm telling you, man, Soulja Boy, he's making big moves, man. 2019 is gonna be his year. Watch, mark my words. Next up, if you're a Bone Thugs fan, you have to have this in your collection. Eternal 1999. You know, such a great album. This came out in 1995. You know, their hit single, Crossroads. We all know that song. It was a great tribute to the late great Eazy-E. I'm so glad to own this, man. Shout outs to my brother. He's the main reason why I fell in love with Bone Thugs. I grew up listening to Bone Thugs, so big shout out to my brother, man. Swimming by the late great Mac Miller, man. Once again, he left us way too soon, but he left us with good music, and I'm very pleased to have this. Next up, we got, if you're reading this, it's too late, man. This mixtape is so fucking fire by Drizzy Drake, man. This is so dope. I'm very pleased to have this. Didn't know you even released this in CD, but like I said, I'm happy to have it. Next up, we got Scum Fuck Flower Boy by Tyler, the Creator, man. I actually enjoyed this album. Today's Tyler, the Creator is cool. He's unique now. He's got his own flow. He's cool. But like how I said, 2012 Tyler is like the best Tyler, the Creator of all time. You know, that's when he was killing it with Loiter Squad and Vine was coming up and he was hilarious. So yeah, but Flower Boy is cool. I love it. I'm pretty sure you'll love it too. Beer Bongs and Bentleys by Post Malone, man. Post Malone is such a talented artist, bro. I love his work. I'm so happy to have this, man. And it's cool. I like this. Beer Bongs and Bentleys by Post Malone. Next up, we got Culture 2 by the Migos. Now, I'm going to be completely real with y'all, 100%. Culture, the very first one, is honestly way better than this one. You know, Culture had a lot more hits, a lot more bangers, but Culture 2 is pretty cool. I'm just glad I own something of the Migos. So yeah, Culture 2 by the Migos. Next up here, we got Convicted by Akon, man. And look, Akon, we need new music, man. I don't know where you're at. I hope you're doing good. Convicted is such a good album, and I'm so happy to have it in my collection. Next up, we got El Mariel by Pitbull. Shout out to Mr. 305, Pitbull himself, man. This is dope. You know, shout out to all my Hispanic people out there, all my people out there in Miami that are bumping Pitbull for no reason. Bro, he's dope. This album's pretty cool, man. I like this. Jay-Z and Linkin Park Collision Course, man. This is another reason why I probably fell in love with Linkin Park. You know, like I said before, my sister was the main reason why I got into Linkin Park, but I was also like a fan of Jay-Z, and like seeing and hearing that they did like a collab album. It was so dope, so unexpected. So it's pretty dope, man. I'm very happy to have this. So before I end part one of the video, I have one last album to show you guys, and that is Drip Harder by Lil Baby and Gunna. Look, man, this album or this mixtape, whatever you want to call it, is such a good fucking project, man. Never knew this was even released in CD. You know, I had to special order it. You know, once again, Zaya Records holding it down for your boy. Very happy to have this, man. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard this project before, and I know it bumps. It fucking bumps, y'all. So that is it for part one. But we's not done yet. We got part two coming up, and yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, share the video with your friends, your family, and yeah, man, stay tuned for part two. We out.
I just pulled up in LA wearing off-white. I can't even fuck with her, she don't act right. Call my old Joan cause she throw that back right. Now I'm counting money, throw